Hi everyone, today I wanted to do a reserve ratio practice problem with you. Suppose you take $1,000 that you have been keeping in a personal safe and you deposit it into a bank account at Bank XYZ. The required reserve ratio is 15%. Does this deposit increase Bank XYZ's reserves? If so, by how much? By how much does this deposit increase Bank XYZ's required reserves? Before we answer these, I want to explain a couple terms. Reserves are the deposits that banks have received but have not yet loaned out. The required reserve ratio is the fraction of deposits that banks must hold as reserves. Does this deposit increase Bank XYZ's reserves? Yes. Any amount that is deposited into a bank will immediately increase that bank's reserves. The bank's reserves will increase by however much is deposited. So in this case, Bank XYZ's reserves will increase by $1,000. By how much does this deposit increase Bank XYZ's required reserves? We know that the required reserve ratio is 15%, and therefore Bank XYZ can only loan out 85% of the $1,000 deposit. This means that Bank XYZ is required to maintain in its reserves 15% of the $1,000 deposit. In order to find that, we can take 15% and multiply it by $1,000, and that gives us $150. So I wanted to relate this to monetary policy. What would happen if the Fed increased the reserve requirements? What would happen if the Fed decreased the reserve requirements? Well, if the Fed increased the reserve requirements, Bank XYZ's reserves would increase, and they would not be able to loan out as much as before the increase in requirements. This means that the banking system cannot create as much money with its reserves. This would lead to a decrease in the money supply. What would happen if the Fed decreased the reserve requirements? Bank XYZ's reserves would decrease, and they would be able to loan out more than before the decrease in requirements. This means that the banking system can create more money with its reserves, and this would lead to an increase in the money supply. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, feel free to message me. I'm happy to help. Have a good weekend.